So at this point, I'd like to introduce our first guest, Dave Waldman. I've known for probably a couple years anyway. We met at a speed networking function that was...
Not speed dating.
Not speed dating. No, definitely not speed dating. That was hosted by a common friend of ours, Don Daigle, and who I just spoke to again last night. And we've kept in touch. And really, Dave, I've been trying to get you on the show for a couple of years, and now this is really a great opportunity for you to come on because your business, Treasured Memories Video, is doing well, and you've decided to expand your services. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time today talking about some of the services that you do for businesses, and that business portion of it is called B2B Video Solutions. So Dave, thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me.
And by the way, I want to let everybody know that later in the hour, we're going to be talking about Dave's antics of jumping out of an airplane last year. Right. It was very exciting. We had a nice little discussion about that last time we met. But let's get into what you do. Let's start out a little bit with Treasured Memories to give people an idea of where you started with your business, when you started, all that kind of great stuff as far as what really drives you in the video business.
Well, again, it started out with Treasured Memories Video, and really the core of the business when I first started, when I first decided to do this, was going to be video biographies, sitting down with your parents, sitting down with your grandmother, and just turning the camera on and talking to her for a couple of hours. And I still do this. This is still a big part of the business. And then what I do is I take that and kind of edit it. Well, not kind of edit it. Of course, I edit it. Cut it up, add photographs, home movies if they have it. Really putting together a cohesive story, a narrative, rather than, and it sounds more like a narrative when it's finished than an interview.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I guess, the inspiration for all of this was that I had interviewed my grandmother. My mom had asked me to just grab my video camera, and I wasn't even a videographer professionally. Mm-hmm. So it was just a camcorder, no external audio, no lighting. But I videotaped my grandmother, and it turns out she passed away later that year.
Oh, my goodness.
Then my father contracted cancer also less than a year later, and he knew that his time was limited because it was pretty late that they found it. And he said to me, Dave, get your camera. I want to talk, because he knew that the grandkids were not going to be around to see him, or he wasn't going to be around, to see the grandkids grow up. He ended up passing away 2 weeks later.
Oh, my goodness.
So again, it was just, nothing professional, nothing fancy. The audio's bad, it's lit poorly, but we have it.
Yeah.
But we have it. And so, in talking about it and deciding, hey, it's time to be self-employed, because we all know about the glamour of being self-employed.
The illusion of the glamour.
illusion of the glamour of being self-employed, right? That was just kind of where I went with, and the name Treasured Memories Video was kind of going to reflect that. And then as I went into business, I learned that and realized that I couldn't just do that. I had to do other video services. Had to and get to, because that's part of the best part of my job is the variety.
Sure.
And the fact that every day I could be doing something different. So at that point, of course, I do weddings and other services that we'll go into, in the next hour or so. And started doing video for small businesses as well, marketing pieces for small businesses. I then realized that, or gradually realized, people pointed this out to me, and it took a while for it to sink in, but people who know me and are familiar with my work, they don't have a problem hiring Treasured Memories Video to do their business video. But if you're doing a Google search, you're looking for it, you're not going to hire Treasured Memories Video to do your business stuff.
Right.
Which is what prompted me to form B2B Video Solutions. So it's still me, it's still the same product, it's still the same stuff, it's just a little bit different branding.
Okay. I want to talk just a minute about the video legacies that you mentioned earlier. Just you describing your personal situation before you even did this as a profession really gave me chills. We really don't put enough emphasis on telling people how we feel about them while they're still here. And then they're gone, and then we don't have that chance. And I've got 3 kids, someday I'll have grandkids. I want them to know about me. You know, when I was born, I only had one grandparent, and I think I was 6 or 7 when I lost her. So I feel like I've missed that portion of my family, even though my older siblings knew my grandparents much better than I did. I missed that, and if I had had something like that, I would feel a lot more connected with my family, because I would have seen that generation go along. Who are some of the clients, types of clients that you do work with those types of projects?
It's basically people who recognize what you're just talking about, how valuable that is. It's interesting because, of course, when I decided to do this for a living, I needed a demo, and I needed one, and nobody's going to hire you if you've never done one. So I found my aunt and uncle, and I said, and I sat them down, and this was the first one I did, as a professional, and professionally set up with that in mind. And that was over 5 years ago, and my uncle passed away last month.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm constantly running into people that say to me, oh, I wish I knew about this when my mother was alive. Oh, we should do that, for my grandmother sometime. The people who hire me, well, first of all, the people who hire me are never the people I interview, or rarely are the people I interview.
Right.
It's going to be their children, or maybe their nieces or nephews. So that's really, they're always asking you, who's your target market? And it's such a hard question to answer, because it's anybody with parents, anybody with loved ones who are older than them. And it can be a tough sell. I remember talking to a neighbor of mine, and I was at his birthday party and met his grandmother. And I said, man, your grandmother is a hoot. We've got to get her on tape. She's got all these amazing stories. And he said, yeah, I mentioned it to her. And she said, what, you think I'm going to die soon? And I mean, the truth is, yes, I do think you're going to die someday, and we don't want to lose this.
Right.
We don't want to lose any of this. But it is a delicate subject, and it is something that, some people are going to react better than others.
Sure. And it does
some people are
sound
going to
like,
be more open to it than others.
Yeah, it does sound like something that would be a great gift for somebody, because they, as you said, the person who's being interviewed is not going to initiate the phone call to you to have it done. However, their kids who love them very much, or their grandkids or nieces and nephews love them very much, and they want to hold on to the memory of that person. It's a great honor. I mean, I would, if I were a grandparent and my kids said, we want to do this for you, for us, because we love you so much. And we're someday, that day's going to come when we're all not going to be together anymore. We want to be able to hold on to that and look back. I mean, even just looking back at, your kids' video tapes from when they were small, even just a year, 2, 3 years ago, they just make me laugh right out loud, because your kids grow and they change. It's the same idea. Time moves on and does not wait for anyone. So it sounds like a great gift. Is that something people tend to do? Do they do that for their loved ones?
They do. It's interesting, because it's not really something you're doing for your mother. It's almost something that you're asking your mother to do for your kids, in a sense.
Sure.
And as far as a gift, I mean, it can't be a surprise. Obviously, you can't surprise somebody with it.
Yeah.
But people have all sorts of reasons, and there are all sorts of variations of this too. It doesn't have to always be a sit down and get your life story. I had someone hire me to come videotape his mother's 80th birthday party. Now, he said, Mom, you're 80, and we're just going to have a nice day here with the family. And I hired a videographer, and she kind of thought it was a little weird that he'd hire a videographer just, because they were just going to hang out as a family, until a lot of her friends started arriving. And so I was there to capture her going, oh my God! And, as people started coming. And then throughout the party, I was then, one of the things I did is, once all the guests were there, is I just went around and did little impromptu interviews with the guests.
Nice.
Again, nothing very documentary style. Right. We didn't sit down and do anything formal, but just to capture that. It's,
nice.
It's the content that's most important.
Sure, sure. Well, we are going to go to our first break. When we come back, we'll be speaking more with Dave Waldman. He's with Treasured Memories Videos and B2B Video Solutions. Make sure you stay tuned throughout the whole show today, because in the second hour we're going to have a recorded interview with Senator Jean Shaheen as well as Alice Young from the Page Agency and Garrett's World. But we're going to hear from some of our sponsors right now, and we'll be back in a couple minutes with more New Hampshire Women in Business.